right, everybody. This is the It's Broken podcast, name to be determined. I am Cliffy G. Got my co-host with me, Mark.
That is me.
Very nice. We're going to be getting into some interesting topics this evening.
Sorry, hold on. Is it that is I? Me. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that properly. Hi, me is that.
Indeed. He is that. I am he. I am him. But yeah, we're going to be getting into some interesting topics this evening. Mark, first of all, how have you been, bud?
I've been okay. Seen better days, seen worse.
Indeed.
But yeah, I'm excited about this.
It sounds like we just ran into each other on a dirt road. Like your truck's going one way and mine's going the other. We stop in the middle. Hey, Ben, how's farming?
Farm life is hard.
No doubt.
Yeah, everything's going good. I'm excited about this. This is both of our first time doing a podcast and trying it out.
Amen.
Hopefully it's not like cripplingly awkward on camera, but we'll see. We're trying to work out all the bugs right now.
I feel like the longer we do it, it'll smooth on out a bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think once we can ignore that this microphone is right here and we have to wear these super hot earmuffs,
Indeed.
then it'll be more natural, like we're having a regular conversation.
Indeed.
Like it's like a phone conversation, because it's really fucking weird hearing it.
Yeah, it is.
Hearing yourself in your head.
At least there's no delay. I always hear myself in my head anyway, so like sometimes I'm the only one that listens. But yeah, so
we don't know what kind of topics we're going to talk about. It's going to be kind of scattered across the board, but one of my recommendations was the film The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, which I've seen a couple times, and it was your first time watching it last night, right?
Yes, I watched it for the first time last night.
So I think I didn't realize that anybody else had really made the connections, but it's a really underrated and peculiar film that I believe has some nefarious ties to Heath Ledger's death. The film stars Heath Ledger, but throughout the movie also stars Jude Law, Colin Farrell, and Johnny Depp, who play his character. I'm a little hazy on the timeline with that, but I believe a lot of that, the reasoning is that they came in to help do the reshoots to make the movie coherent, because Heath Ledger died during the making of the film. What interested me about it and got me thinking of...
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, we're going to spoil the shit out of this. But what got me interested in it was the storyline itself. I wouldn't have thought a lot of it if he died doing a romantic comedy or something. But the movie is essentially about good and evil, life and death, the afterlife, redemption, and ultimately sacrifice. And that's something we're going to touch on. We're going to be using as a reference an article from The Vigilant Citizen, which I didn't know about until just now, until you brought it to my attention.
Indeed. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, but there's a lot of stuff in there. So you just saw it. I watched it again. It's actually on pause in there right now to kind of get brushed up on it. But you know my take on it. What do you think about the movie? And do you think that there are any underlying themes or something related to the seedy, maybe conspiracy side of things within Hollywood and Satanism and the dark arts, if you will?
Okay, so I want to kind of take it from the way I saw the film, and that was when I first started watching it, and then I'll kind of get into, we'll start from the movie. We'll talk about what the movie was originally, from what people would see. And then maybe we could say, but what I saw, I really liked what I saw first off. I thought it was going to be like set in a different time period, because they're riding around on this giant contraption that's like a stage, and their living quarters all together. And it's like horse drawn by like 4 Clydesdales or something. And it was really interesting. And it was the old, like kind of vaudevillian, harken back to everybody's in really bad like grease paint, and the costumes were pretty decent, but it's like, hey, come on over, give a listen, that kind of thing. There's like a barker trying to involve people.
Yeah, and it's set in modern times.
Right, which threw me for a loop because I saw them. It was like the cobblestone streets of London or wherever it was. I know it was. I don't know if it was London or not, but it was the cobblestone streets, and everybody was gov and all that, and then everybody's in modern clothes, so it's like, oh wow, this is like happening right now. So that was interesting, I thought. And then it's like this failing traveling circus kind of thing. I don't know. Kind of reminded me of that Red Hot Chili Peppers video, Soul to Squeeze. I don't know if you remember that back in the day.
I don't.
Mark's a little bit younger than me. He's 17 years old, and I'm 94.
And also not a big fan of the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Right. Well, are you a big fan of Subway? I mean, I don't know. Like the movie Coneheads. Like somebody. Yeah, but anyway, so yeah, it was interesting from the jump, and they started out with this character who was like this drunken, I guess citizen or whatever, and he was that typical like a-hole, like, come here, girl, I'll grab you, and all that, and then
the young drunkard.
Yeah, the young drunkard, exactly. Insert the young drunkard, and so he gets sucked into the mirror. Or I guess he goes. Oh, that's right. He's trying to assault the female character,
which is something we should bring up with the mirror.
Yes,
what is
indeed,
the mirror?
Indeed.
So, without getting bogged down too much in all the details of the story, basically, this old man who is kind of like a shaman or a sage, he portrays himself as an entertainer, as you said, and he goes around with his daughter and a young man who is, I guess, his squire or something, like his assistant.
Yeah, it's Spider-Man. Oh no, that's Vern Troy is actually the
Vern Troyer.
Vern Troyer. Yeah, no doubt. R.I.P.
Rest in peace.
No doubt,
my little friend.
No doubt. Good man.
But yeah, was it the dude that ended up playing
Spider-Man?
Yeah. I don't know his name.
He's all stuttery when he acts. He's always like, but.
Yeah.
No. And I was like, I thought that
he
was
does a
just
great
for
job.
Oh, he does a great
though.
job. Yeah. But one of his like quirks is when I saw him in Spider-Man, I noticed that he was like, get out. That kind of thing. He would kind of like say it over and over. But he also did it in this film. But he did a phenomenal job, I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great. It's just really good film all the way around. But yeah. So I'm sorry, you were
the
saying.
basic storyline is like this old man. He has this show that opens up out of a carriage, like a buggy that's being carried, drawn by horse. And people go through a mirror that is a portal into a world that seems to be custom tailored to their personality and wants and dreams. The thing that they lust after, or maybe the things that they fear. It's tuned into their brain somehow. What you find out is that it's actually the subconscious or the mind of this old man who is Dr. Parnassus. So they're basically going inside of his head, and through his extremely powerful brain, he is reading their thoughts or something and sculpting this world for them in which they have to make a choice. The choice is either do the right thing that is hard, or do the wrong thing that feels really good at first. It seems like the easy thing to do because it brings out the worst in the person.
So basically, they're going to Las Vegas. Is what's happening?
Yeah, a lot of it looks like it would be something on the set in Vegas too. Yeah. The giant high heel shoes and
oh man,
so that's the basic gist of it. They end up picking up Heath Ledger, who is found hanging from underneath of the bridge that they're traveling on, and so they save his life. He was able to survive because he put a golden or like a brass like flute or pipe in his throat, so the rope wouldn't crush his throat, his windpipe.
Right, which was interesting because I wondered. I was like,
is there symbolism to that?
Right, and also how the hell was he still alive? From the under the thing? Because like, It would have snapped his neck, obviously, and he would have strangled. But they just discovered him and were able to. It took him a minute to get him and rescue him. It's like, oh, and then he coughs it up or whatever, and then there's symbolism.
The inside of his throat probably looks like fried beef jerky after all the scar tissue. It's obviously not the first time he's.
Because he just took it like a champ. He was just like scoop and excuse me. When I go to die, I'm not going to because of this thing. You know, it's just sort of like putting on cologne for him or something.
So basically, they pick him up. They pick up Heath Ledger, and throughout the film, every time he ends up in the mirror realm, inside of Dr. Parnassus, Parnassi,
Parsonins.
Yeah, he has a different face. And I believe the first time it's Johnny Depp.
Correct.
The second time it's Jude Law. And the third time it's Colin Farrell.
Correct.
So one of the main thing that clicked with me, the epiphany, like the light bulb moment, which got me thinking there's a lot more to this movie than anybody is letting on, is the fact that Heath Ledger played the Joker in The Dark Knight. And if you dig into it at all, there's an interview, I believe in the 70s, with Tom Waits. And he's either in England or in Australia. And Heath Ledger, it's obvious that he based his version of the Joker heavily on Tom Waits, and I believe more specifically that interview. The mannerisms, the
kind of
attitude,
like this,
the way he was gravelly, kind of talking, everything about it.
He would do this,
That kind of.
Heath Ledger, excuse me, dies in real life during the making of this film.
Spoiler alert.
So again, this movie is about good and evil, and so your main protagonist is basically this old man, even though they're all shaded, they're not fully, their moral compasses or their reasoning are all a little shaky. Nobody's pure good, but the antagonist in this is the devil, played by Tom Waits, who Heath Ledger based his character. So
phenomenal job on Tom Waits.
He's he's very playful and dark and everything.
Right.
But
he smokes a cigarette
it was such a weird thing.
He punctuates with a cigarette like no one I've ever seen before, man. Like that cigarette should have got an Academy Award, like just for the cigarette. Like it was amazing.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, he was just.
I tried to do it with a vape and it doesn't work. You just look like a fucking asshole.
It's like, is he sucking? Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
All right.
Let me try and punctuate what I'm saying. When we're gonna track him down, we're gonna get him.
That pager's got a chimney.
It doesn't look good.
Smooth.
Not nearly as cool.
I thought it was pretty cool. Just put a hat on, a little bit of
we're gonna hunt him down
collar
like
dogs. My cell phone's burning. All right. Yeah.
So that was the big one. That kind of cracked it all open for me.
Right.
Was Tom Waits playing in this movie. So
and it's interesting when he comes in because like you're like, this guy's probably Satan. You know what I'm saying?
It almost seems like to and
there's no direct like ta-da, like he doesn't come out of the ground and shit like that. Like
a lot of people think that Heath Ledger's role, him like being this method actor or whatever, the role of the Joker consumed him and it was ultimately his demise, even though like Michael J. White had said in an interview that he died like it was the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus came out years after Dark Knight.
Right. That's what I had always heard. See, I'm new to this too.
But
I had always heard that like
cancer takes a long time to kill you also. So
True.
If there's some dark shit going on, some kind of like sorcery or mysticism or witchcraft or call it whatever you want going on, it might take a while to get into effect. It might have consumed him, but it seemed strange that the precipice of this was Heath Ledger basing a character off of Tom Waits, and the end of it is him dying during the filming of a movie where during the movie his life is also at risk by the devil, who's played by Tom Waits. It's almost like the punctuation mark they put on this death sentence that they gave Heath Ledger,
Right. And I mean, I also will say that he looked kind of rough in the movie, like even with makeup, and he just looked like he aged a lot. Like he just
wasn't
looked
the
bad.
Tiger Beat heartthrob. Heath
Yeah.
Ledger that we might all know.
Yeah.
They almost make light of that throughout the film, even when the young girl, who, by the way, there's a line in the movie where the young man that works for Dr. Parnassus is kicking it in the back of the carriage with his daughter, and he says, "Run away with me," and she says, "I can't. I'm only 13." And then Vern Troyer confirms it, but it's very playful, but it's also a little out of place. It seems like they didn't have to throw that in there because she then says, "Oh, I'm just kidding. I'll be 16, sweet 16 soon, the age of consent."
Well, the reason why she said that was because Dr. Parnassus, when he was a monk, you remember?
Right.
Well, he made a deal with the devil, Tom Waits.
So I guess they had to put in there to like further the plot along.
We'll see if he hadn't done the deal. Well, if he hadn't won the bet by the time okay. So first of all, he did a bet with the devil. He made a deal with the devil to give him immortality.
Right.
So then he's immortal. Fast forward to like the 1920s. I would say this is about maybe 200 years later. He's out there begging for change or busking for change, and he sees a beautiful woman. It's the mother of.
It's the mother of this girl who is played by the actress that plays this girl. So
Right. She plays her own mom, essentially.
yeah, which is a little weird.
That's odd. And yeah, so he sees her, he falls immediately madly in love with her, but he's all old and raggedy, so he thinks that he can't get with her. So basically he calls upon the devil again and makes another deal with him to give him power and youth so that he can have her. And then in return, by the time their first daughter becomes 16, he gets her soul. So that's why he was
her soul.
Yeah,
The devil
gets her soul. So he was trying to keep it a secret that she was 13, because that's why he kept telling everybody she was 12, because he thought the devil would find out or something.
Okay.
So that's why she was like, "I'm 12," and it's like, dude, you see this chick, you
I still don't know
she's
why
not.
she had to include the age of consent.
Yeah, that's
I
odd.
guess in some way it's like the age that her father consented to give away her soul, but at the same time,
What's the age of consent in London for like hooking
I
up
believe
with a chick?
it's 16.
Interesting.
It's younger than here in the States, but there's even some states in the U.S. where it's like 14
Carolina, bro.
shit.
Yeah, Carolina's like 16.
Yeah,
15.
so it's either, I believe it's 15 or 16 in the UK.
I feel like it would be, I feel like it would be 16 in the UK for some reason, because like they got that old juju from like, I guess medieval times, but still they want to be more current.
Yeah, they're used to like having child wives.
I could see those dudes in the wigs with the, I could totally see them getting into some shady situations with some younger age.
And the tradition carried on.
Indeed.
Gotta have traditions.
Indeed. Yes. So that is an interesting point why she says age of consent. And this whole time,
to me, she's really the only female that you see consistently throughout the film. It's like she is the established like sex kitten. And the one thing that I hear a lot about with these like mind control slaves or whatever is like the Manchurian candidates. The men end up being trained killers, and all the women end up being with some psychosexual trauma, and like the Judy Garland, Courtney Loves of the world, are fucking experimented on, and they're just used up and take part in human trafficking, child trafficking, and
drugs,
prostitution, and all of that. They're used as like sex toys, basically, where the men are utilized as these brainwashed soldiers.
Yeah, she does get handed around quite a bit in the film. Like she, with Colin Farrell, she falls in love with him because he takes the face of that guy that was, because she had this magazine. She doesn't want to be on the caravan anymore. She wants to get a home and settle
down.
Live
the life that she sees in the magazine.
Right. So she has this, and I wish I could remember the name of that magazine, because they are all, like everything in this movie, the name of the stores or the names of the magazines could have double meaning. It's like intended to be like that.
Sure.
So the name of the magazine is specific to that. But she has this magazine, and it's got this image of the quintessential beautiful family. The husband, the wife, the kid. They're on the couch playing board games, and they're laughing together and all that. So anywho, when Colin Farrell comes in, it's his face. So she sees Colin Farrell in the Imaginarium, and she instantly falls in love. But we'll get into that.
Yeah. So they're looking at this article again from VigilantCitizen.com. They do make a lot of points that are more subtle. One of them being that I thought was really interesting is when they at some point do find some success thanks to Heath Ledger's character.
Yeah.
And he knows how to con people, and he says, you got to con the rich if you want to get the money. The set that they use is checkerboard, which is the black and white is a very common theme with Freemasons. You see them on the floors of the Freemason lodges. It's the as above, so below duality, the inverse of everything, which seems to be a
good
common
versus
theme.
evil kind of thing.
Yeah, but it's
evil.
A total inversion to bring what is below, hell essentially to earth, and creating, making earth a living hell. People, there's a lot of that going on subliminally, and some say, and I'd be inclined to agree with them, that it's all related to the social engineering that we see with everything, with our media, with social media, with advertising, all of that. That there's these, similar people that are part of this cabal or whatever you want to call it, that are pulling the strings, want this inversion. So that kind of makes me wonder, the people that made this movie, you could look at it one of two ways. Either he died because of the people that made this movie and Heath Ledger was a sacrifice, or you could also argue that the people that made this movie were trying to tell us something, and maybe they were running against the clock and they ran out of time and Heath Ledger died before they could finish it. So they brought these other people in who, I can't speak for the character or who these people really are as far as like Jude Law, Colin Farrell, Johnny Depp. But maybe they're like truly altruistic and they were trying to help finish the message, or maybe they had no fucking idea at all what they were getting into.
Right, they were just like, let's get in on this, and
because they probably assumed, oh, this is going to be huge, because Heath Ledger, who was like couldn't have been bigger,
right?
From the start. At the time.
Oh man, yeah,
died
absolutely.
during the making of it. For more of a curiosity, people would see that movie even if they had no interest in it otherwise.
Absolutely. But can we get into Tony? Well, his character, Heath Ledger's character, was called Tony the Liar. But I don't know. When they found him, apparently he had been attacked by the mob, which we'll find out later. Something I'll get into that later. But for now, when they find him, he's actually got amnesia. And to this day, one day after I see the film, to this one day, I still can't figure out if he had amnesia for real or not. I mean, geez.
I do believe at first he might have. I mean, he did have a near-death experience,
right?
But he very early on does realize who he is when he sees himself in the tabloid paper,
right? Right.
That he quickly hides from Dr. Parnassus, who walks up to them, and that it's not long after. It's a couple days after they pick him up.
Right. Right.
So it doesn't take long at all before he realizes. And also, he's very certain of that pipe that the young man has, knowing that it's his.
Right.
He's very good with marketing. He says, "Trust me, I know what I'm talking about with this stuff."
Yeah. How would you know if you've forgotten everything? Like you wouldn't know what you are. Or...
But so that's the thing. He plays this guy. He could go either way. He could be a good dude. He could be a bad dude. He's both essentially. He's in the gray, and the whole point is the devil has made a wager first to get 5 souls with Dr. Parnassus. Dr. Parnassus has to get 5 righteous souls to the afterlife, which is still kind of fucked up because he is killing these people prematurely, basically. Or actually, no, they don't die.
Because they come out. Yeah, that's what I didn't understand either. Because when he takes their souls, they come swinging out from the thing, and
maybe only the bad ones die.
Yeah, that's
so maybe he spares 5 souls.
Yes, because the bloke in the beginning, he chose the you chose poorly. He chose poorly, and he went to the drink. He went to have another drink.
Yeah.
He was given the opportunity to either climb these steps, and it was funny because it said 12 by 12 steps to, redemption or whatever.
Obviously, making reference to the 12 steps to AA.
Exactly. So, and then he looked over, and Satan had in order to win his part, to win his soul for Satan, he had put up this like juke joint. Drinkery, like kind of a Shady bar.
Joint drinker. That's a great bar name.
No doubt.
And it's out there. And we don't-
Trademark, and you not. Yeah, I already have paperwork going in on this. So if you take
And
it,
it's stolen.
I want my cut. So yeah. Anywho, so he runs up and he chooses to. He's like, maybe just one, and he goes in. Spoiler alert! It explodes, and his soul is forever burning in fire and screaming hell. So, it gives him an opportunity. But yeah. So and then if you choose wisely, you chose wisely. If you choose wisely, then you just come swinging back out, and you're enlightened of all your, or you're ready to shed all your worldly possessions, and you just have this like glow about you, like you've seen.
It's a rebirth.
Indeed,
It's essentially
indeed.
it's a rebirth.
Okay.
With a side order of orgasm, I'm assuming.
Yeah, there was a lot of that.
And it was enough to make them give away all of their worldly possessions because I'm assuming through this rebirth or this transformation, whatever they have, they realize that what the material things they have mean nothing. All the while, the man who's giving them this opportunity, who's this all-knowing dude, he's happy to take their material shit.
Exactly.
Which maybe that there's some underlying things about that with the clergy or
Well, that's what separated Tony the Liar from Dr. Parnassus was. Dr. Parnassus was in it to help people help themselves.
Mics are probably going to pick that up, just so we know.
Bop.
Yeah, I see that happen on the podcasts I love all the time, where they're like, and they're like really getting into it, and it's just
wait a minute, what podcast are we watching here, bud? The podcast where the guy with the weird mustache and like the red armband.
Yeah, they do it live from Argentina like every week.
Don't cry for me though, Argentina.
It's a room. They're all clones.
Indeed. There's a youth involved. I don't know. Anyway,
they make me feel good about who I am. That's what I like about it. They don't make me feel bad about being me.
It ain't easy being me, but
we're dead.
And
we're dead in the water.
Yes.
That's it.
This got off the rails a bit quickly.
26 minutes into the pilot episode, and we're fucking cooked.
So this is an interesting. All right, so while we're on Tony the Liar. So he's got these inscriptions on his forehead when they find him.
And honestly,
Interesting
I'm pretty
stuff.
sure I didn't realize that before. I thought it was his fucking hair. Like his sweaty hair or blood or cuts.
Right. I can see that. But now it looks like the outside of a fraternity house on his forehead.
What this article says is...
it says that he got drunk at a fraternity party. He passed out early.
It's phi or phi, phi or pi. Is the Greek letter representing the golden ratio, a mathematical proportion that is extremely important in Freemasonry. And again, that goes back to the checkerboard, black and white, as above, so below.
Right.
Balance being on the square.
Right. And then the middle one looks like a triangle with some sort of. I don't want to say it's an eye. I don't think it's an eye in the center, which would definitely.
It would almost make sense
Illuminati
if it was
kind
the
of
third
thing.
eye. The pineal gland is right there, which is what is the third eye.
Oh, indeed. Yes, that's right. Okay.
His third eye.
Yeah, because there's some pictures of Dr. Parnassus, and I guess he shows like a book or something where he's and his third eye is open because he's like representing different forms. Like one is like I guess would be like Christian God, and his third eye is open in that or something. But yeah.
And again, they do make these points. And I'm really going to try to not completely bite off of this article. But again, this is the first time
comment. Yeah, no, there's some fascinating stuff in here, and it's fine to talk.
Really interesting points.
You can call the points on. We can just go back and forth on them. And
so there's a scene. It's the first scene where Tony the Liar, who right off the bat is extremely good about navigating the afterlife and the inside of Dr. Parnassus's conscious or brain as he brings this older woman in there, first time in there, and he already knows exactly what to say. And again, this is Johnny Depp's character. This is Johnny Depp playing Tony the Liar at this point, which is interesting because it makes me wonder how Heath Ledger would have felt about doing this scene and if he thought there was some foreshadowing involved.
Right. So I have a quick question.
Sure.
So the drunkard in the beginning, the bloke, his face also changes when he goes into the.
You lost me.
Okay.
So hold on.
The opening scene where the guy gets drunk and tries to beat up the girl. No, this is actually a comic book that I read on the toilet 25 minutes ago.
I can't read.
I'm gonna go get it.
Me,
I forget all the time. Mark, you can't read. Mark, you can't read. Sorry. I feel good.
So yeah,
he can read. Okay. So So there's this
Books?
movie. It's called Heathcliff's Big Adventure. He finds a fish in the trash can. But no, yeah. So yeah, at the beginning, the drunkard's face changes when he goes into because he's falls down into a mud puddle and he sees his face.
It's like rock bottom for him.
Right.
He doesn't like the face that he sees in the reflection.
Right. And he kind of looked like me, which was like,
He looks like if you were the difference between this and doing this.
Yeah.
And now I'm a monster like never before. And that's all it takes. You just bend the
nose
down.
a bit. Yeah.
I'm changing. You know what I mean?
My mom's calling me, man. It's weird. My phone, I left it.
You're not going anywhere.
Wait. Help! I'm stuck in this chair. There's shackles. Anyway, yeah. So his face changes. So I'm wondering, like, oh, okay. But then, like, other people's faces didn't change when they went there. And it was a completely different dude.
Perhaps
So did that guy die too?
It's their face in the outside world is the face they want people to see, and the face inside there is who they actually are. Or it could just be that they're not secure enough with who they are, their identity, where they're able to be, they are able to change faces or change their look while they're inside of there, because it's just a more malleable construct to them.
Right.
As their identity, but it's strange. What it probably boils down to, hey pup, hey, is they wanted to show that it was going to be different faces. So before it looked really weird, and all of a sudden Heath Ledger plays three different, is played by 3 or 4 different people. They just let's have the drunk change his face too, so people are used to the idea that it could happen later on.
Okay, that makes sense.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
But the scene where it's like they are, so Johnny Depp has this older woman, and it's almost as if she's about to cross the river Styx into the afterlife, there's a little river where there are these little in memoriam float boats passing by, where there's I know 2 of them were Rudolph Valentino, James Dean, and Princess Diana, and the woman makes a reference to all these people, they're all dead, which Tony replies, yes, but immortal nonetheless. They won't get old or fat. They won't get sick or feeble. They're beyond fear because they are forever young. They're gods, and you can join them. He then adds, your sacrifice must be pure. And he then takes all of her gold and earrings and shit, and she's reborn. So the reference of these people dying before their time and being, he says their sacrifice must be pure, which means that they were sacrificed, which is what brings us to the main crux of this conversation. Was Heath Ledger some kind of sacrifice? Was he the pure sacrifice? Was he the the sacrificial lamb that knew of no sin, that was pure enough to be sacrificed because it has the most fuel efficiency to the evil in the cosmos, for something that's completely pure? It's like high test gas for the devil.
Right. And you obtain you can see everything, or you get everything. Enlightenment. You achieve enlightenment or something if you sacrifice yourself. That's why you do it, because you're supposed to be enlightened. You see the world as it really is. So Princess Di and James Dean, they both died in car accidents. Who else was on? What was the third boat?
Rudolph Valentino. I'm not going to pretend like I know who the fuck that is.
How did that guy die? Because if he died in a car accident, that's kind of odd.
Go on, pup. Come over here. Good
This
girl.
is our sponsor, Roxy. She's got her own line of dog collars. They're called Itchy, and what they do is... So Mark's on the horn. He's looking up. I guess you're looking up how Valentino died.
Yes,
That's cool.
yes.
Yeah, we're gonna do some detective work.
Raymond Valentine.
Oh.
Okay.
I'm gonna say
Rodolfo Alfonso Ophelio Pierre Philibert. That's not this. None of this is real. That can't be his whole.
Is it a
fucking
spam?
name. Cause of death: peritonitis, which is cancer of the parrot.
I was gonna say.
No, I don't know what that is.
Stuff's a killer.
Inflammation of the
Beef.
peritoneum, the lining of the inner wall of the abdomen. Okay, so
His wasn't very pure.
yeah, I mean maybe it was maybe it was poison.
Interesting.
Causes perforation of the intestinal tract, pancreatitis, pelvic inflammatory disease, cirrhosis, ruptured appendix. So who knows? It is strange that that kind of seems like a weird one to throw in there.
Right.
They could have probably picked somebody.
Dale Earnhardt Sr.
Right.
died in a car accident. What's
Brittany
more
Murphy,
pure?
that angel.
Yeah, indeed. Oh, R.I.P. This is a tough one,
Or
bro.
countless musicians. They didn't put one musician in there.
Yeah, and it's all
Of all the musicians.
What is the Valentino guy? What did he do? Was he an actor
I don't
or
know.
polo jockey or something?
I'm assuming whatever he did, it was extremely fancy. Just going
Just
off
with a
his
name like it'd be funny if he was a bagger at like a fresh market in Italy or something.
I feel like he made
No offense
silk
to anybody.
gloves for show horses.
Interesting.
That's where, with a name like that.
Interesting. No doubt.
Yeah. Let's
Wait,
see here.
the horses wear the gloves?
Obviously.
Oh, nice,
They're not
okay.
going to get their hooves filthy.
Ah, indeed.
You think like a commoner.
I
You really
am
do.
quite. Could I have some shillings, sir? I'll shine your shoes for a shilling. Please, sir, may I have some more gruel?
He was an Italian actor based in the United States.
Oh, well, there we go.
He starred in several silent films, including The Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse.
Oh, ding dong.
Weird. So, yeah, we'll have to look into that.
Yeah, because nothing that, again, what I was saying earlier about names of magazines or stores, nothing is just, I guess, to be taken for face value in this film.
You think everything
Pictures.
in there is intentional?
Yeah, I mean,
Down to a very
I'd say
minute-
85%. I mean,
Sure.
I mean, like there's very few times where it's just like, oh, this is just three random people, because there's always double meaning, good or bad. I guess that's what we're here to interpret. You know, what is the double meaning? But there's a lot of double meaning stuff in this film. It's what makes it really fascinating. I mean, I could watch it again and again, and you know, I guess try to go with different theories. But there is a lot, and apparently Heath Ledger helped write this film. Is this what the director says?
Oh, that's okay. Let me. I did not know that.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting ahead of us. Like back on that article, I'd say that it's like one of the last speaking points, but it kind of caps it all off. But kind of getting ahead of us, like he apparently he helped write the film, and people assumed that when the film, once he passed away, it was so parallel to his situation, and there were so many like double meanings that just fit so well that people thought that he went back and rewrote the film after he died. Not Heath Ledger rewrote the film, the director or the producer,
To make it fit more.
right. But he swears up and down that he didn't change anything. But like there's so many like aha moments about Heath Ledger's death in this film that people question, like, dude, did you go back and like rewrite this film around his death? And he was like, no, I didn't. It's just like that. Like,
So it's almost. I wonder if Heath Ledger knew that his time was coming, or if somebody else knew that his time was coming and kind of pushed him to help make this movie. Because it almost seems like these. I mean, that's a massive coincidence. It almost feels like that gives some extra power to the spell or whatever they were, to the sacrifice that his real life paralleled the story, that the story was about that he helped write it, that he put his emotions into it.
right.
So yeah, I didn't know
That's
that
an interesting point. Like his subconscious was speaking out or something.
Yeah, either he knew what was coming or somebody else did and pushed them to make this movie.
Well, so let's look at the cause of death for Heath Ledger. What was it? He overdosed on like Xanax and sleeping pills.
I think
or something.
he was taking a cocktail of a bunch of pills, man.
Because I mean that could also, he if he was struggling with drug addiction, and he was like fantasizing about death, and that's what a lot of people do. They're on drugs. Like if you're hardcore addicted to something, you're always like just waiting to die to take that, bad dosage or the loaded dose or whatever. So I guess you kind of like all your art becomes about death or suicide or Kurt Cobain.
Yeah, he died at age 28. Isn't that the magic number?
Yeah, 28, 27 or 28. I think it's 28.
Cause of death: accidental drug intoxication. I don't think the intoxication was accidental.
Definitely not.
But the overdose and death, definitely, or maybe not definitely. I don't think he did it on purpose. But at the same time, it might be real easy for one of those Hollywood dealers to just slip you in a fucking wild card into your little,
concoction.
And you take something that, looked like what you normally take, and it ends up being some off the wall crazy shit that kills you for sure.
Right, like fentanyl. That stuff's killing people hardcore these days. It's very powerful, and people are taking the same dosage they would before, thinking that they're gonna, get, because you got to up your dosage the more you get along, you get more of a tolerance. So they'll just take the regular dose, but it's like got fentanyl in it, and it just like destroys you. Because like a pen lid, or I guess a ballpoint pen tip like amount of fentanyl can like kill somebody. So I mean, just think, anything could happen. He could have got that. Somebody could have paid him. I mean, this is all just like, I try to think of things critically from all angles. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, if you want to look at it from that angle, then
fun.
It's easy for somebody just to say,
stuff.
Hey, the quintessential dollars folded up in the hand. Hey, why don't you give this to my man for me? Slide it under the table. Just make a delivery for me. Hey.
I do remember hearing something though, I believe, in regards to Heath Ledger's death, that it wasn't what he was taking. It was under control. Like it was almost like the media was really upselling the fact that he was on these drugs. Like it could have, like there were antibiotics or something. But I don't want to speak. I don't want to tell tales out of school, so I don't know for sure. So don't.
I don't think
way off.
I don't think we'll ever really know for sure what happened. I mean, a lot of this stuff is doctored. Forgive the pun, but you don't really get the true. They'll say somebody died of a heart attack when actually they died of a cocaine overdose, or they died of dehydration.
Their heart was attacked by a fucking shotgun blast to the chest.
Yeah,
say, oh, it's a heart attack.
Yeah, or somebody's in the hospital for dehydration. They really just been on like a sick bender for like 7 days of like cocaine and hookers and liquor and God knows what. Oh, he has dehydration, so he's in the hospital. Like I would get dehydrated
exhaustion.
Too. If I spent 9 days in Reno, Nevada at the Bunny Ranch with 4 8-balls and 2 cookies named Bunny. Bunny and what's the other one? Amethyst. Yeah, there you go.
Oh yeah, great girls.
Yeah,
great
good stuff.
Girls.
I gotta call Amethyst.
Great looking penises.
You know what? What? That's what that was.
But there's obviously
I gotta read
something
more books.
there. There's something to this where I get it. Playing devil's advocate, a broken clock is still right twice a day. So every now and again, there's some real fucked up coincidence. This amazing actor dies while making a movie basically about death, but the parallels are a little too much to ignore, and the things you see and hear throughout this movie, there's just it all runs too closely with Freemasonry or Satanism. For it to just be one of those things where like, yeah, Hollywood's crazy, and then chalk it up to that. I don't buy that.
Right.
I really feel like the best way for them to pull off, and them again, I don't know what you want to call them, but these like Saturn worshipping, like hell bent, power hungry, fucking these lizard people, man. The best way for them to pull off something like this is to do it in plain sight. Really fucking rub your face in it,
Right.
And it's all, for a mustache twirling, like the Tom Waits devil character, to be able to just show to everybody, like, look what we just did, and that guy's dead, and then people are like great movie, and these devil worshipping lizard people can just laugh. These fucking idiots. They don't even get it.
Right.
We can feed them anything.
Right.
And it's just confirmation of their, the
they're just finessing it. It's like they're finessing it now. Like, oh, put a little spin on it. Put a flair on it.
Like if they can do that,
and
they
you'll
can go
like
completely unchecked.
Yeah. And you'll like it.
So I don't know, man. I mean, I kind of feel like we've probably squeezed that topic dry. I mean, we got 45 minutes talking about that. I think that's not bad.
Yeah, not bad.
So who knows what we're going to be talking about? Who knows if anyone will ever see this podcast
or hear it?
Yeah.
And one thing I would like.
Who knows if the cameras are on?
Right. I think that one went off a little while ago, yeah. But we'll iron it out. But one thing I would like to say is, it is that time of year again, Mark.
Oh boy.
The leaves are changing on the trees.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhat falling. Sam Hain is going to poke his head out of his rotten little tree hole, see his shadow, and then there's going to be 6 more weeks of candy.
I'm confused, but I'm with you.
Halloween!
Yes. That's right.
What are your plans for Halloween, bud?
I don't know. Last year, I set up a bunch of Halloween decorations, and for me, a bunch is like there were 2 sheep's cloth skeletons out in the yard.
I'm glad you said cloth. But you said sheep's, and I was like, heads. And you're like, sheep's cloth. I was like,
all out.
Woo!
I mean, I spent probably $18, $19 on this stuff.
Snap.
Set it all out. I had a fog machine. I had a light for the fog machine. The works. And, not one kid shows up. My yard is terrifying. Yeah, it's run down and not in a cute way.
Yeah, right. It's like
I'm not Owen Wilson. If Owen Wilson lived here,
you're not some dude in like a drug rug. Like, oh hey, what's up, kids? Like, no, it's all good. Like, no.
Yeah, I am just. It's everything about myself and my property is menacing. I feel like to my neighbors and to passersby. So no one showed up, and I ended up with just pounds and pounds of high fructose corn syrup.
So the problem is,
I'm probably not going to do anything this year. It was a problem for me.
I was going to say,
Daddy's got to watch the show.
I was going to say the end. Oh yeah, that's right.
I was giving out candy to all my friends' kids and stuff, and if my friends had any sense at all, they would not give their kids the candy that I gave them.
See, so what is this thing nowadays, man? It's so crazy. Like,
I'd put drugs in
with
all
so
of them.
much. It's like there's these creepy overtones if you talk about anything with kids. Like I gave some candy to my friends' kids. It's like there's not with you. I'm just with
sick
anybody.
Piece of shit.
you son of a bitch.
Where do you get off?
I'm Chris Hansen. I just take my mask off and I'm like, we got him, boys. Sit down. Yeah,
that is a whole can of worms, bro.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's only with men, dude.
Yeah.
It's okay for and it harkens back to the maternal instinct, the court system's siding with the mother.
Right. Well, I have a kid, and I have a daughter, and if I take her to the playground,
which is awesome.
Yeah, and if I take her to the playground and she runs off, I'm standing by myself at a playground.
Believe me, people don't like it.
I know. Oh, by my lonesome.
I have been asked to leave so many playgrounds.
No doubt.
I don't have a kid.
But yeah, that's
so it's different for me.
Yeah. Well, the stuffed animal that you bring with you does not help at all.
It doesn't. Yeah, especially because it's stuffed with my dick.
Jesus Christ. Ay. So my plans for Halloween, I mean.
Well, yeah, I mean, how old is your daughter now?
That is a creepy segue. I'm just kidding. You can't go from dick stuffed animal to how old is your daughter now?
Maybe you can. Don't tell me what I can and can't do. I'm capable of anything.
This is my house.
Reason why I ask is because A, I was going to ask if she's old enough to go trick or treating with you.
Yeah.
B, I was going to ask if she's still into stuffed animals.
Well, not as into him as you are, obviously.
Oh, yeah, I'm about 4.5 inches into him.
Oh, snap. From the ground. No, yeah. So, trick-or-treating is going to be awesome. I'm going to get all the candy, obviously. I'm going to hook her up. Like, I'm not one of those parents. Like, a lot of parents nowadays don't give their kids sugar. I don't give her a lot, but I let her have a good time. We share some ice cream. I got the chocolate milk in the fridge.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yo, you like candy bars? Boom, it's a treat. Like, she's not eating it all day, every day, but, you know, it's nice to say, oh, cool. You know, she's a good kid. Boom.
Otherwise, what's the point? Man?
Exactly, man. God,
What's the point?
God, like, oh, it's like, okay, it's snack time. It's like, Apple, what did you bring? You know, the kids these days, the names like for these kids,
they
Apple.
Probably brought a fucking apple.
I was gonna say, that's why they call him Apple. The kid's basically turning red.
Dork.
I know, right? Apple. Let's see what happens when you give Apple a
Strips
Reese's Pieces
Gently
stuffed
heated
Reese
cardboard. You
cup.
fucking nerd.
Let's see what happens when we give Apple a Reese's Pieces stuffed Reese's cup.
His kidneys
Double
would
peanut
explode.
Butter. And he's gonna fall in love, and he's gonna be addicted. He's gonna be going in mommy's purse. But anyway, anywho, I digress. But yeah, this has been It's Broken Podcast, and that is a name that we're trying out.
Cool. And so thanks for not telling us at all what you're doing for Halloween.
Oh, that's gonna be a mystery. I'm gonna dress my daughter up like a monkey, find the greatest neighborhood in town, and get a buttload of candy.
Are you really? She's going as a monkey for
That's
Halloween?
what we're thinking. She loves bananas. She does a great monkey impersonation.
Oh yeah.
She jumps around like a freaking monkey. You know?
could get her a little like go-kart thing, and she could fucking throw the banana peels out the back.
Go like with some Mario Kart action with Donkey Kong. Interesting.
I could be Uncle Luigi with a bag of mushrooms.
Nice. Well, if anybody's getting a go-kart, it's gonna be me. Because I need a go-kart in my life.
You deserve. You deserve a
I think you
go-kart.
deserve a go-kart, man. A
In
little
your
bit
life.
of two-seater. The go-karts these guys they got these days are freaking amazing.
We're living in the
Freaking
golden
roll
age.
Cages, the golden age of go-karts.
Yeah.
Independent suspension, coil over, shocks and springs.
Oh yeah. Disc brakes.
3 speeds.
Reverse.
I used to have a freaking coat hanger that I would pull back to make to pull the gas. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that old chestnut.
You were truly like a little rascal.
Exactly. 3 horsepower Briggs and Stratton. Good luck starting.
Was
it.
your top hat like a soup can with the lid partially opened?
And I had a chicken inside that would peek his head out every now and again. His name was Sparky.
Do you have a brown tweed jacket where the elbows were cut out? There were just holes there instead of... Because you had to sell your elbows to someone else for patches?
No, it was a potato sack, and it was made to look like a tuxedo top.
Yes.
And it was a blazer. But yes, all of that. And then the day of the big race, we put we took a crate, and we put some baby carriage wheels on it, and went to the old hill. We won that day.
That old hill.
We went to the old hill, and we won. Well, we didn't win the race, but you know we.
Did anybody
in our
win
hearts-
that day?
I don't think so. I think you know what we won? A knowledge of self. And with that, we're gonna bring this to a close.
There it is.
Thanks for listening, guys. I've been Cliffy G.
And I've been here with you like this whole time.
The jury's still out on that. I've got footage.
All right, yeah. I think that's probably a wrap.
All right.
Yeah, that's a little... Yeah, there we go.
All right.
Now we just... If we do that, it's arbitrary. It means nothing. If I do it too.
Yeah.
Fucking stupid fat
No,
Mark.
that was. I mean, this is our first time doing this, man. That was not.